This week we've got Brett Carpenter, ORV racing manager for Polaris, on the show to talk to us about what a successful racing team looks like and what Polaris has in store for the future. So strap in as we bring you up to the races. Welcome back to Race Pace, sponsored by CW Motorsports. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we've got a special treat for you today. We actually have Mr. Brett Carpenter, who is from Chad's favorite company on the entire planet, the one who he has supported through thick and thin for all of his UTV career. Okay, that's a lie, but Chad does have a Polaris, and that's where Brett Carpenter is from. And Brett, I don't want to screw up your exact title, but you are the head of, I know you're involved in the racing division, but what's your exact title with Polaris there?
Yeah, it's ORV, Razor Race Team Manager, basically, team manager. There's probably a few ways to say it, but manage our factory racing program.
Well, we are super glad to have you on today, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to talk with us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. Happy to connect with you guys.
Yeah. So, first question I think that every person on this planet, or at least the ones who watch this show, want to know is, how did you get the job that you have? Because I'm sure everyone says it's a dream job.
Yeah, it definitely is a dream job. I will definitely admit that. No, it's just one of those things that I've been around off road for quite a while, most of my life, and most recently worked for a company out here in the Southwest, the headquarters in the Southwest here in Arizona. It's called Rigid Industries, make LED lighting. Worked with their racing program for quite a while. Did some work in Lucas Oil short course off-road, developed some great relationships. And I feel like that's what this industry is really built around, is strong relationships and strong networks and surrounding yourself with good people and things like that. So, I've worked with, before coming to Polaris, I worked with a lot of our factory racers already. I worked for a handful of years with RJ Anderson and a handful of the guys on his team. Jesse Nelson. There's quite a long list of racers that race for with Polaris that I've got a long relationship with. Craig Scanlon, I worked on his program when I was at Rigid. And so, there was an opening and a need to fill this position over there. And it was certainly something that, I felt like could really, really take my career to the next level. And I also felt in turn that I could bring a lot to the table to help manage the program here at Polaris. So it's been everything I thought it would be. It's been challenging, but we just have a ton of exciting things to work on and to build and to prepare for. We're only halfway through 2020. It's obviously been a crazy year, but we're looking forward to 21, 22, how we take the program to the next level. And so that's the part that's really exciting for me, the challenge of that. Polaris has done an awesome job of building, this really, really massive, awesome team of racers and ambassadors. So to be able to come into that and kind of pick up where things have been either left off or where they're at now, and take the ball and run with it, is something that I really, really wanted to do, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Good deal. You did mention that you guys are, looking forward to 2020 and 21 and some of the things. Do you have any little hints of what some of that is you can drop for us, or is it all top secret?
No, it's a lot of things of identifying areas where we can improve. And I know you guys, in the Midwest and the AXCC and a lot of the other Midwest and East Coast and Southern racing series, that maybe our presence isn't as significant as it could and should be. We've got places like that on our radar, to improve support and support the drivers we do have out there, but getting more involved with the series, getting more involved with the drivers, bringing things in like small things that we feel could make big impacts, like, improving a contingency program, or implementing a contingency program, things like that I think could go a long way for the racers, and bring a bit more to the series as well. And so a lot of things like that, just quick glance, like, hey, recognize where are some areas where maybe we're not the strongest, or we don't have the largest presence on the race course, and taking some action to fix those things. I think that's one answer that I think would be of interest to a lot of your guys' listeners and viewers. Just because the East Coast and Midwest circuit is really growing. There's a lot of excitement around there, but there's also a lot of competition that's doing really well. So that's a big focus for us. Obviously our large presence out here in the Southwest with things like Deaths in the Desert, Score, and Lucas Oil Off-Road and things like that. We want to continue to succeed there and continue to elevate the program even further. But a focal point will really be improving our presence back east.
Yeah. So I know several guys would love to end up with factory backing in some way, and I'm not saying this is your how-to list, but what do you guys look for when you have your factory-backed racers? I mean, what really piques your interest when you see racers out there? What's them doing the right thing look like to you guys?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's a number of layers to it that we could really lay out and get pretty detailed, but I think it's something that should be something that the racers can work their way up to. If it's if it comes in stages of like, how do I get my foot in the door at Polaris and just get some entry level support? You get in the door, or we develop things like contingency programs and purchase programs and stuff like that. And then we start to work with the racer and develop relationships. It's certainly not going to go from 0 to 100 like that. But, I think that's the biggest thing is getting a foot in the door and communicating with us and allowing us to communicate with them and learning about the program and learning about what we have going on and the direction that we're going. That's a big part of it. It's just establishing a relationship. And then we can identify areas that we feel that particular racer would be strong. Look at their history, look at their resume, look at, what they do to maintain a professional program. That's a big part of it. And I definitely see a lot of areas where, racers can improve. But I also see a lot of areas where you get a racer that's just like, his goal is just, I need to win races. I don't care what I got to do it. I'm just going to go out and win, and I think there's finding a middle ground there, like take a strong racer, strong program, and see what you can do to kind of mesh those two qualities together. But the relationship thing is really big. And we have a number of guys that are racing on the East Coast right now that may not represent us on a factory level, but they do a great job communicating with us and sending us race reports and, sharing their schedule and say, hey, FYI, I'm going to be out racing here. You guys need anything, let me know. We'll send you some photos. And, because our presence is really minimal back east, you really appreciate those guys that do make the effort to reach out to us and share what they have going on and share the results and share photos. And even if it's not a good race reports with could have had a catastrophic weekend, but they still share the information and say, hey, we're going to dig deep and we're going to fix this, and this, or we're going to go get them next time. I mean, we truly look at those things. I mean, a lot of people send race reports in. I don't know if they know where they go, but I read quite a few of them, and it's good to see that stuff. So getting a foot in the door, developing a relationship, and then just working hard and maintaining a really clean program. That's what we look for. And then obviously the results. We want to talk about race wins. We want to talk about our vehicle beating the other vehicle, and proof of performance is a big part of our marketing. So obviously the results come with that, but really starts at that entry level and then growing from there.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of guys, at least in the past, it was pretty common that they would rely more on their wins and losses stats than their social media presence and how they handle themselves off the track and everything else. So it's good to hear that you guys, you definitely put that right up there as at least as in high of importance as the win-loss.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's hard to prioritize, what level we look at more, but they both matter. I think just like I said, the professionalism, someone walks into the pits and, parents and their kids and they're walking through to meet some of the racers, and there's some really nice pit setups with really clean branding, and you can tell that they have kind of a knack for marketing. That's a good thing. You see that, and that they take care of their program, and their sponsors are well represented. That's a big part of it. So the social media presence and the marketing side of it is just as important on and off the track.
Yeah. One of our local racers, Steve Mueller, is the one I like to give an example of a lot. That he occasionally will sniff a podium, but he's super consistent. He's always a race finisher. And his machine, whenever he shows up at the line, his machine looks like even after a full race season, almost looks like it's brand new off the line, because he maintains it well. Yeah. He presents himself well. He's more than willing to give information and share information about what he liked and what he didn't like, what went well and what didn't go well. And I think that, kind of what I'm hearing from you, that whole package means a lot in terms of what you're trying to look at when you're looking at a racer you want to get behind. Yeah,
it does. And Steve's a great example. He's been one of those guys that's really, kept in touch with us, and I follow his results, and obviously was tracking, how he did a couple of weeks ago, or was it a week ago or a couple of weeks ago now? A week ago.
A week ago.
Yeah, and so, Steve's been great, and somebody that we'll obviously want to continue to work with, and he's represented us well on the East Coast, or the Midwest, I should say. And there's a handful of other guys like him that are doing a great job. But yeah, Steve's a great example. Great communicator. He's always reaching out for stuff and sharing his results, and we appreciate that. So good guy. And I believe he was one of the guys who connected us, or
Yep.
help make this happen as well. So appreciate that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So on to more about you, I guess, as a person. How did you get into off-roading? You kind of alluded to that you've been in it your whole life, but what got you started?
Well, I actually grew up on the East Coast a long time ago. So my family's originally from the New England area. I was born in Connecticut. My dad raced off-road, back at tracks like Southwick and, up and down the Northeast. He raced at Crandon back in the 80s, early 90s, and raced with Kurt LeDuc, who's now obviously on the West Coast. So they grew up racing together on the East Coast, and that's what got my dad into it, just being friends with Kurt LeDuc. And so, I was just around a lot of the short course stuff way back in the day, late 80s, early 90s. Then my family moved out west quite a few years ago. I've been out in Arizona now for close to 30 years, 25, 30 years. And obviously the Southwest off-road world is pretty massive, and we were exposed to a lot more off-road once we moved out here. And so I was just around it, regardless what I did. I was even through school, through high school. I didn't actually work professionally in the off-road in business or industry until I'd say maybe 7 years ago, 7-8 years ago. But my family was always around racing. Like I said, the LeDuc family, they came up through the short course off-road ranks with their kids. So spent a lot of time at the racetrack with them, helping their team. I really focused a lot on the marketing side of things, while the racing was obviously awesome and exciting. I always had a camera in my hand, or taking either video footage or taking pictures. I was always interested in the logos and the branding and the apparel and the driving suits, and my eye just naturally kind of went that way towards the marketing side. And that's what really made me want to work in the industry and get into motorsports marketing and sponsorship and things like that. So fought my way in there for a while, but once I got in, I really just put my head down and just been grinding ever since. So it's hard to call it work, man. It's a blast, be able to work with off-road racers and work for companies like Polaris and be able to do stuff like this. It's hard to call it work.
Yeah. So do you have a RZR now?
Right now, you know what? I don't. It's kind of nice.
Oh, no.
We go to events. And,
well, that's all the time we have for today. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know. I guess I could have lied, but no. I mean, it's obviously we go to events like King of the Hammers and different races, and there's certainly availability to get into a vehicle. But no, I'm trying to decide what's going to be my first racer. But I mean, finding time would be great. I know that. We're pretty busy and a lot going on, but no, not yet. To answer your question, not yet, but it's coming.
4-seater or 2-seater? What do you think you're going to go with?
Well, I got a wife and kids, so I'll probably end up going with a. Yeah.
I was going to say, Chad does too. It didn't stop him.
I got all 2-seaters.
Take a buddy. Yeah, no. Probably look at a 4-seater for the family, but we'll see when the time comes.
Okay.
Yep.
So obviously you guys have had a lot of early success with the new Pro XP that's out there, and it's a fairly, I don't want to say a huge radical departure from the Razor Turbo that preceded it, but is there, I mean, I guess looking at that machine, and were there specific goals you had in mind, with that machine in terms of racing? I mean, were there specific races you had your eyes set on, as a company that, hey, we're kind of building this towards this specific market? Because it definitely is a more performance-oriented machine than the previous XP Turbo. And so just kind of, I don't know, in broad strokes, were there specific goals that you guys had when you were sitting down with a pen and paper trying to put this thing together?
Well, in terms of the Pro XP, obviously they've been talking about this and developing this vehicle as Polaris does with other vehicles for quite some time, much before my time here at Polaris. But I do know the goals of the machine is to make it much more of a it's a machine that you can't really pinpoint one area where it should be or where it belongs. It's it really adapts well to trail and desert and dunes and Southwest and East Coast, and there's so many different qualities about the vehicle that really make it a strong machine for anybody. Specifically the size of it, 64. It's that actually increases the flexibility of this thing at where and how well it performs. So from a racing standpoint, we look at it and say, okay, it's increasing horsepower, and there's significant improvements in many areas on this thing. But you look at from a race standpoint of where this thing could perform well, and you try to put a plan together to do that. So I mean, at King of the Hammers, we had a handful of racers out there racing with Mitch Guthrie Jr. and his dad, Bryce Menzies. So you find all these different races where you want to see it succeed. You want to put it through the harshest environment and see what it can do, and what it's expected to do. We had Mike Capro race it down at the Baja 1000 last year, damn near stock vehicle, and drove it, finished, won his class, really right out of the box. And so, those things right there are motivating factors for us to continue to push this thing to the limits. It hadn't been launched for more than a couple months before there are racers itching to get their hands on it to turn them into race cars. Well, 6 months later, we've won some races with it. Now we've got a handful of guys in the desert racing. Cody Bradbury most recently has stepped into Best in the Desert with his brand new Pro XP, and right out of the gate, I think he secured a top 10 finish in Pro Turbo in a pretty deep class. So Ryan Piplick, he's been a great ambassador for us with this thing. And I know he's excited to get back out there at Silver State. So, we're starting to see it, at least from the Southwest, really build some traction. And same goes in the Southeast and the Midwest. We want to see more Pro XPs out there. We feel it's a great platform for racing. We feel it's a very simple car, and should and can win a lot of races. Down in Texas, there's a heavy competitor presence down there. So what do we got to do to get more Pro XPs on the course down in Texas? And on the East Coast and the AXTC. So it's definitely a platform that we're moving forward with confidence. And let's get more Pro XPs out there. Let's get them out there in the racing world. Obviously there's there's a big marketing push behind these vehicles as they're kind of the new generation for us. And so racing's a big part of our marketing and how we tell that story. So as many of these things as we can get out there as possible is the goal.
Yeah. No, you hit on one of the things I've always said about Polaris is they may not be the dedicated race vehicle straight out of the box that like the X3 is, not dogging anybody here.
No,
but it's a vehicle that I can take out and I can race today and maybe change the wheels and tires or whatever I need to on it, and I can go hit the trails tomorrow. It's kind of the best at everything instead of just being the best at one specific thing only.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're seeing that because, I mean, the style of racing, and just aside from just the, the consumers out riding, from a racing standpoint, we're seeing that King of the Hammers and, terrain in Johnson Valley, terrain in Baja, terrain in the Nevada deserts, and then in the East Coast and Midwest. It's all kind of different styles of racing, and it's all really, really adaptable with this machine at what it can do. So,
right, especially with the adaptive suspension that you guys have on them now. That
absolutely
makes a bunch of difference. And with really almost as simple as some wheel and tire swap, I can go from an XC machine, change those out to a high offset, go race some short course with it, and then change them again and go do ice racing in the winter or something. I mean, it's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty diverse, and that's what's exciting about it. So we're going to keep pushing this thing and see where it goes. But we're certainly seeing a move, and seeing more and more of them out there on the race course. So I'm sure we'll see more, hopefully.
So can you let the cat out of the bag or not if we're going to see some sort of Turbo S like 72-inch wide machine on that kind of platform? There's a lot that we're working on our end, as everybody is. It's, we're going to continue to look at this Pro XP and just see where this takes us. The Turbo S is still an awesome machine. I mean, there's quite a few racers that still prefer the Turbo S, and quite a few enthusiasts that prefer the Turbo S. So, we're always working on things. I mean, no secret there that you gotta stay. And for us, we want to stay ahead of the competition and continue to stay innovative and things like that. But without giving too much away, we're always working on things to improve. So that's fair.
We'll see where this Pro XP takes us.
No, it's so far, a really impressive machine, and it's clearly a platform that has a lot of legs, like you said. It's just really out of the gate been impressive in terms of its capabilities, and that's only going to grow as aftermarket support continues. And as you start, keep getting feedback, like you said earlier, it's all about relationships and feedback. And as you're hearing more and more about how it's performing out there in the real world, I know you guys are just going to keep improving, just like you have with machines in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we certainly want to keep improving these vehicles, and there's certainly a demand for them right now. Everybody's out riding, and it's great to see. I mean, the weather is changing, obviously, for you guys. Out here it's getting hot. For you guys, it's getting into that prime riding season, so, or it's already there. But we just got to continue to do our part to keep pushing these things to the limits. And like I said, I mean, if we can get more Pro XPs out there and get more guys comfortable with these things on the race course, then we'll be really happy with that. So,
yeah. No, I think this year you'll see the few that are out there, or not the few, but the ones that are out there, I think you'll see them prove themselves at how much Polaris has stepped up the game as far as going from like my generation of the XP Turbo, and see the real improvements that they made to the frames, to the seating positions and everything to make them more capable race machines. And I think that's going to help in and of itself, but getting those guys out there to actually start posting race reports and things like you were talking about, that helps too, is assuming that we're talking about guys that everyone trusts and knows is going to give good, honest feedback about all of these things.
Absolutely. I mean, you certainly want that. I mean, and that's the benefit of having a race program for a manufacturer, because we can work with our racers, learn from them at what they're seeing, just common failures, things that are stronger than others, and ways that we can improve. I mean, that's a big part of our race program is collecting data and useful information and honest feedback, and taking that to develop, these vehicles further. And so that's really what the factory program does for us is work with pretty significantly successful teams, whether it's in desert or short course or rock crawling or whatever it is, and learn from them, and provide them with a product that we feel they're capable of going to win in races with, so we can talk about it. But, taking that feedback from them as well, and learning what we can do to improve, to increase their chance of being successful. So that's a big element to running a race program, is collecting as much data and information as possible.
Yep.
Well, Brett, if people want to follow you, where's the best place for them to do that?
Oh, man, I get to plug myself on social media. This is cool.
You totally do. Or you can say, actually, I don't want you following me. I'm not on there.
Yeah, I know. So, well, of course, make sure you're following Polaris Razor. And then I'm on Instagram primarily. My Facebook is I typically keep that pretty private and family and stuff like that. But on Instagram, it's just Brett Carp. So pretty easy to find. But yeah, it's it's fun to see what's going on back there on the East Coast and the Midwest, and the series where we're not like I said, not as strong as maybe we could or should be. But it's good to connect with a lot of the racers back there and get some of that honest feedback from them too, and see what we can do to improve. So we're excited about that.
Good deal. Well, we do want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, CW Motorsports, our title sponsor for this season. We've also got 834 Powder Coat on board, Watch Communications, and Spanx Fab. You can find us on the web at eminentperformance.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Eminent Racing. You can find the video version of this show on YouTube. Just look for Eminent Performance, or just go to YouTube/Eminent Performance, actually. And if you're looking for the audio version of the podcast, just head over to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, any place you normally get podcasts, and look for Eminent Performance, and you're going to find this mess as well. If you don't mind and you're enjoying the content we're producing, please take the time to leave us a like or follow us or subscribe or whatever that platform supports. We'd really appreciate it. Definitely helps get the word out and helps us grow and bring you more fantastic content like the stuff you've just gotten today. Chad, is there anything else before we need to close up shop?
No, I think I'm good. I'm looking forward to maybe some good weather, and there's supposed to be a race this weekend, so if I can make it down there, I'm sure going to try.
Go.
Well, Brett, once again, we really thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We know you're a busy guy, and it means a lot for you to take a half hour out of your schedule with us.
Thanks a lot. No, I had fun. Good talking to you guys, and keep crushing it, man. It's cool to see what you guys are doing, and cool to learn a bit from you guys what's going on back east and in the Midwest. So thank you.
You're very welcome. The pleasure's all ours. And for everybody else out there listening, thanks for riding along with us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.